All right, good people of Gotham. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Friday Night Prepper pre-party show. Y'all, I missed you last week. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be back here live. Let's say hi to everybody in chat. Let people get through their notifications and anybody that's watching ads and whatnot. And then we'll start to get into, we got some discussion stuff tonight. I got to go over a couple channel announcement things, and then we'll talk about tonight's topic. So I hope you're ready for a fun night tonight. I'll do my best, try to make it fun for you. Let's say hi to everybody in chat. I got Nick. Thank you so much for joining. Kentucky Survivalist, always good to see you. Michelle, Scorpion, Metals, Coffee First, Then Speak. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate you. And all right, I think, did I get everybody? Yes, I think I got everybody for now. So as always, couple announcements to start us off. If you're brand new to the channel, a couple rules that we have is number one, be nice to the moderators, please. Moderators give their time freely. They are not paid. So I really appreciate that. They come here and they volunteer, give up part of their Friday night to help keep this channel running smoothly, running cleanly. And that being said, let's make sure that we keep racism and sexism out of chat. We don't like that here. If you break the rules, the mods will probably give you a warning, and then they have full permission to toss you out, put you in timeout, whatever. So that being said, we welcome everybody here. Anybody that's here to learn about prepping, survival, homesteading, even a little bit of financial preparedness. And it doesn't matter where they're from, what their background is. We welcome them here. So just be kind to each other. That's all I ask. Periodically we do giveaways if you're brand new to the channel, so keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. Usually there'll be some warnings when the next one's coming up. And maybe we'll start thinking about that for 6,000. Maybe we'll do a little giveaway at 6,000 subscribers. So just kind of keep your ears open for that. We still got a ways to go before that's going to be a thing. What else? So if you've been enjoying the knife videos recently, good news. There's more knife videos coming. If you've not been enjoying the knife videos and you're sick of the knife videos, well, I apologize because there's more knife videos coming. The reason we're doing this is I'm going to Blade Show in 2 weeks. If you're not familiar with that, Blade Show is like the big knife expo. And there's 3 of them that run in the United States every year. The biggest one, of course, is in Atlanta, which is not too far from where I am. So I'll be going to that, and I'm going to be networking with a lot of different people there. I already know some of the other influencers that are going to be down there. A lot of the people from the bushcraft community are going to be there. And of course, lots of knife companies. So I want to, as I network with some of them, see if I can get some discount codes for the audience, things like that. I want to be able to show like, hey, this is what I can do and do some knife videos. So you're going to get at least a few more weeks of that. If you're really sick of the knife videos and it's not your thing, just go check out some of the other videos in there. I've got over 100 foraging videos. I've got 75 or so gardening videos, all kinds of product reviews for different things besides knives. So appreciate the feedback for those of you who do like the knife videos. Next week, I've got a review of the LT Wright Genesis, which I know is Lee, Coldware Prepper. That's one of his favorite knives. So I've got that coming up next week. And then I may do the Spyderco Schmuck after that, which is one of my favorite pocket knives. Let's see, what else do we got? There's a poll at the top. Make sure you take a second to scroll to the top of the live chat and vote in that. And I think that was it for announcements. Yeah, if I'm forgetting something, we'll come back to it. No big deal. All right, so haven't done a live stream in a couple weeks. Glad to be back. And tonight's topic, we're talking about gold and silver as a possible prep, right? And this always becomes a little bit controversial on the forums. And it's the same arguments over and over and over again. So we're going to be rehashing some of those arguments tonight. But I'll try to give you my spin on it as usual whenever we talk about things like this and financial preparedness. My legal team requires that I tell you that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. All investments and all financial transactions have some risk. Anything, if you spend some money on gold or silver, it could lose value if the spot price drops. You assume those risks. It's not on me. And do your own due diligence on how you spend and invest your own money. This is for entertainment purposes only. We are required to say that for legal reasons. If we talk about certain situations in here, such as legislators being bribed with gold bars, I assure you that is purely fictional. and any relation to any real living people is purely coincidental. And remember, all people are innocent until proven guilty. This is America, baby. Survival of the fittest. All right, so prepping gold and silver as a prep. So as you guys know, I endorse gold and silver. It's part of our preps. Do I think it should be your first or most important prep? No. And if money is tight, it definitely should not be your first prep. Your first preps are, most of us in the community are going to agree on this, is going to be a way to purify water, a way to store water, and that should be number one. Number two probably should be start thinking about your food security. And then after that, it kind of depends on the situation that you're thinking about and who you talk to, right? So some people might say self-defense would be the next one. Other people might say you need a 6-month emergency savings, right? And at some point, when you've got all your basics covered, your flashlights, your way to recharge flashlights if the power's down, maybe you got like some mini solar panels and a solar power station, and you've got your self-defense covered with your pew-pews and your bang-bangs, and you've taken some self-defense classes, and you've got all your basics covered. You've got a bug out location in mind. You've got a mutual support group that you've been working with. You've got you built your bug out bag, right? Like, you've done all the basics. At that point, you might start saying, okay, what's next? And this is where I think gold and silver might come into play for some people, right? I do think you should still, even before gold and silver, you should probably be thinking about your 6 months or so of emergency money. Now, how much emergency cash you should have saved is going to depend on who you talk to, right? I say 6 months because years and years ago, I was laid off. A program that I was working for lost their funding, and it took me 6 months to find new work, right? So that's why I go with that idea for a baseline. You certainly could have more emergency cash, but remember, when you have money just sitting in emergency cash and savings, or maybe you've got a floor safe or whatever, however you decide to do that, it's not really making any money. In fact, it's losing money to inflation, right? Because I don't know of any bank accounts or savings accounts that are giving interest that is beating inflation, okay? So when people say you're losing your money in the bank, it's kind of true, because over time, the inflation is beating any money that you're getting from your interest, right? So then you got to think beyond that if you're thinking about other things other than the zombie apocalypse, right? So the number one thing, and I see you guys got some chat going there. I'm gonna check in with you all in a second. So the number one argument against gold and silver that you see over and over and over again is that if SHTF happens, nobody is going to want your gold and silver. Okay. It depends. It depends on what your version of SHTF is. Now, if you're talking about zombies, that gold and silver is probably going to be useless, right? But how many different SHTF situations, if you don't know what that means, it basically means poop hits the fan, like emergencies, crisis, whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean end of the world. That's the mistake that a lot of people think. If you want to talk about end of the world, then you're talking about TEOTWAWKI, which is a whole different acronym, the end of the world as we know it. But SHTF gets thrown around a lot, and some people misuse it as in place of TEOTWAWKI. So we'll play around with it for the purposes of this video. So if you're talking about zombies, then gold and silver is probably going to be useless. But there's a whole lot of other emergencies that lead up to that, such as recession, such as loss of jobs, such as medical emergencies, such as wars, temporary short-term wars. Those are some of the big ones. A tree falling on your house, your car suddenly going kaput. I actually know several preppers in the community who were homeless that used their emergency gold and silver to get themselves out of that situation and restart their life, right? So the idea that nobody would want your gold or silver, or that it wouldn't be usable or tradable or a barter item in SHTF, is really dependent on what that emergency is, okay? Only in the most extreme cases would it be useless. Only in those most extreme cases, right? So if you're only, and I've talked about this before on the channel, again, I'm giving my opinion here. You guys are welcome to disagree with me. I actually like a little bit of pushback and a little bit of banter. Kind of makes me think differently too. So feel free to do that. But if you're only thinking about that, then I personally don't believe you're going to be prepared for the shorter term situations, right? So like if you're thinking end of the world is your only way, the only type of prep that you're doing, then what are you doing about loss of job? What are you doing about medical emergency? What are you doing about a storm, like taking the roof off your house, right? If you're only thinking about like the zombies and bugging out to the woods, then you're not prepared for those situations. You have to think about everything from starting with the short localized emergencies, the stuff that you're most likely to deal with, and then work your way up, right? And that's what I've always preached on this channel is that don't start preparing for the zombie apocalypse, start preparing for the storms in your area and the, you know, kind of the natural disasters that you see in your area. And as you get prepared for those things, you're going to be starting to get more and more prepared for bigger and bigger and bigger events. It's just a natural progression. All right, let's pause there. Let me check your chat here. And again, if you're just tuning in now, make sure you go up to the poll up at the top. I'd like you to vote and give me your thoughts on that. We'll try to remember to come back to that at the end. Sometimes I don't remember. All right, let's see who we got. Lazarus Long, awesome to see you. Okay, there we go. Lazarus Long, good to see you. Homestead Engineering, good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you. We're gonna talk about that one next. I'm gonna leave that one up there. We're gonna talk about that one. A freezer, Michelle, is a great prep. And if you are worried about like long-term power outages, I would encourage people to look into a solar power station. And I've tested my solar power station with our chest freezer and it works fine. And if you're cycling on and off, I can run it for several days. And then if we have some sunshine, I can keep it running until basically I could keep it running until we get several days of no sunshine, at which point I wouldn't be able to take it any further than that. But a freezer is a great prep. Absolutely. Yep. That I agree with you, Lee. We're getting there. We're getting there. Angie, it's good to see you. How you doing, my friend? Southern Tier Preppers, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. We are keeping you in prayer, my friend. Video today about how the fast world is getting into all digital. Yeah, and I might try to hit on that as well too. Coffee first about like digital currencies and stuff like that. I'm not against those things. I'll give you my thoughts on those as well. Yep, and that's what it's there for, Southern Tier Prepper. It is like basically another financial support that's there for if you need it, right? So there's other assets that I also talk about sometimes on this channel. We're not going to get too much into those tonight. Land and real estate is an asset. It's a good financial asset, in my personal opinion. Dividend producing stocks are of blue chip companies that have been around for a long time, that are solid, that have weathered recessions, in my personal opinion, are good financial preps. And I've got some of that stuff and I take the dividends and I reinvest it. But if I need it, I can pull the dividends and use those to cover an emergency, or I can sell off some of my stocks to cover an emergency. And yeah, there's more risk to that than silver and gold. There's way more risk to that than, say, cash in a savings account. But you have a chance of making more money. I can't say it's guaranteed, right? Because all investments could lose money, but you have a chance of making more money. That's called putting your money to work for you, basically. Depends on where we are on this timeline. Exactly. Unknown by Voivod. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Virginia Bushcrafters, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing good. Devil Dog Preppers, good to see you. See if I missed anybody here. And if I missed a question, I apologize. Just hit it again, but throw it in caps. Helps me catch it. All right, I think I got everybody. Cool. All right, so let's talk about this one here. Homestead engineering. So that's the next thing that you see is that is the argument against gold and silver, is that you can't eat gold and silver. Well, okay. But as Lee was saying in the chat there, I also can't eat my flashlights. I can't eat my pocket knives. I can't eat my tent. And those are all part of my preps too, right? So it's a really ridiculous argument to say, well, you can't eat silver and gold, because that's not the point of it. It's a different prep for a different purpose, just like your flashlights and your knives and your pew pew bang bangs and your tents and tarps and medicine storage and all these other things. They all serve different purposes, right? My gold and silver is not to eat. Now, technically speaking, I think gold can pass through the human body. You're not going to get any caloric value out of it, and don't try it, because I'm not encouraging you to try it. But just kind of being a jerk there. It serves a different purpose. It's a financial prep, right? You don't eat your financial preps. Now, when would I use it? Well, my plan, like Southern Tier Prepper was saying that before, is hopefully not to use it, right? So my silver and my gold is part of my retirement. Hopefully, like if we get that far, if I don't have to tap into it, they will be part of my retirement. I'm not banking all of my retirement on silver and gold, and I wouldn't tell anybody to do that, because it doesn't make enough money to put me in a good financial position. If I put 100% of my savings into silver and gold, I don't think I'm going to get where I need to be for retirement. So I put some into stocks and other things like that. And I was dabbling in cryptocurrencies. We'll talk about that maybe in a little bit if I got time. But it's also very safe compared to some other assets, in my opinion. It's not 100% safe. There's always a risk. The last few months, gold and silver has been skyrocketing, guys. Go over to Apmex. I got a link in the description down below. It's an affiliate link. Huge sale going on right now. There was stuff that was like practically at spot price, and it's only going on for like another 60 hours or something like that. Go check out that sale. I saw some amazing deals in there. And if you've been following gold and silver, like both have really outperformed a lot of stocks, and definitely have outperformed cryptocurrencies in the last few months, right? Why? Good question. Well, China's buying up a ton of it. China's buying up a ton of gold. We're in a trade war with China. Mainstream media is barely covering this. There's a lot of stuff going on. We just, our president just slapped a whole bunch of tariffs on China, and some of those tariffs are going to affect things like chips, computer chips that we need to import for technology that we produce in this country. But we don't produce a ton of chips in this country. So we're literally our president is handicapping our own businesses here and making it harder for people to conduct their business and create electronics in the United States, because some of this stuff we have to import. Some of this stuff is built from rare earth minerals that we don't have in the United States, right? The sad thing, the thing that really frustrates me, is that the mainstream media is not covering this stuff, and it doesn't tell you this stuff. But we are in a trade war right now with China, and it's getting really, really tense. And if our president keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, my fear is that this is going to become more than a trade war. And I don't think that's good for anybody. You make your own decisions about that, but please do your own due diligence. If you don't know what's going on here with these tariffs, and then China just unloaded a bunch of U.S. debt, and like this back and forth thing that's going on, it's you got to pay attention. You got to switch channels, right? So if your news channel is not covering this, it's time for a new channel. Get on to, try a couple different ones. Try to get some news outside of the United States too. You'd be surprised how different the reporting looks outside of the United States, right? You got to go to some of these other sources. Some of them are on YouTube. Some of them you have to go to different websites, but you got to get your sources from more than one source. Right? The days are long gone. I would say in the 70s and 80s, mainstream media was fairly trustworthy, or at least it felt that way. Whether it was or not, it felt that way. The days of being able to just trust one news source are way behind us, guys. Don't do that. You're making a big mistake if you do, or do it. I don't care. It's your life. Just don't cry to me when all of a sudden like something happens and you're like, well, I didn't know we had all this tension with China. So no, you can't eat your gold and silver, but that's not what it's for. It's for how would you use this? I guess that's where we'll go with this next. How would you use this? So, well, let's look at how it's been used historically, right? So gold, in particular gold, to a lesser extent silver, but in particular gold is the only form of currency that has survived the downfall of empires for thousands of years. the only form of currency that's done that, right? So what happens if the US dollar collapses, but we still have power, we still have a nation, we still have elections, we still have rule of law and all these other things, right? Well, then at some point, I think this is just theory. I think our government would reset the currency, and we would probably go to what they've been preparing for anyways, which is a digital dollar. They may not call it that. There's a couple of different, the Hamilton coin, a couple of the CBDC. But if you're confused about this, if you've not heard anything about this yet, again, you're watching the wrong news sources. Go, after we're done, Google Project Hamilton MIT. Right, you'll get all you need. It's a project that the government has hired the wonderful people at MIT to develop a theoretical CBDC, central bank digital currency. Right. At some point, this is probably going to be implemented. Just my opinion. Again, this is my channel's for entertainment purposes only. So, what about the in between? What about converting to the new currency? What if something happens big and the US dollar still exists, but it's no longer the world reserve currency, right? You can take gold and silver anywhere in the world, and convert to their local currency, in some cases anonymously, if you know what you're doing. There are ways to do this anonymously. So you could, in theory, if you wanted to, if let's say the situation in the United States got so bad that you wanted to escape from the United States and start your life over, if you had enough gold, you could disappear from the United States, show up in another country, little by little, start converting that to your local currency. And if you've got enough saved up, you could live a quiet, anonymous life. And it would be, if you're paying in cash for things, as long as we as the world are able to do that, you could probably stay away from like big cities where there's a lot of cameras and stuff like that. You could probably stay hidden. And people have done that, right? There are people that are missing, that are highly wealthy people that have just disappeared off the grid, right? This is how they do it, guys. This is how they do it. Or they store cash in offshore accounts and things like that. And there's other ways to do it. But gold and silver is accessible. It's not, you're not forbidden from owning gold and silver in the United States. We're very blessed that we can even do that. So why not consider that part of your financial portfolio? That's how I look at it. How much is it appropriate? I don't know. A lot of people say 5 to 10% of your savings. You decide. So that's one way you would use it. Now, we know during the Civil War, gold was used to bribe past blockades. We know that during World War II, gold was used to forge documents. Gold was used to bribe past checkpoints. I would go so far as to say I feel 100% confident that gold is being used right now in war zones to obtain things. I would say that I feel 100% confident right now that's in saying that gold is being used to escape from war zones for families that have enough of it to do so. Furfal, in his book about the collapse of the Argentinian economy, talked about that there was gold very much was part of the barter system. And people would take like their necklaces and their bracelets and cut off pieces of it and trade that for food, right? So going back to that whole concept of nobody wants your gold and silver in a crisis or at SHTF, again, it depends, right? So if theoretically, let's say that I had a warehouse full of canned peaches and canned Spam, I don't need your canned Spam and canned peaches. I'm going to tell you, because I know how to use gold and silver, bring me your grandmother's heirloom ring. And I will send you away with a couple cans of Spam and a couple of cans of peaches, okay? Or maybe some tomatoes because I know how to garden. Or maybe some foraged greens because I know how to forage. Or maybe somebody else who's a really good fisherman will trade you some fresh or smoked fish. Or maybe somebody else who's a really good hunter is going to trade you some squirrel meat, right? So to think that only beans, Band-Aids, batteries, what is it? Beans, Band-Aids, batteries, bullion, no, not bullion, bullets, is the only thing that's traded. No, it depends. There would be people who don't need your can of peaches. Sorry. I know that shatters the illusion for some people, but this is the reality that we learned from people like Furfal and Selco Now Selco, in his situation, like he was in kind of an area where nobody had gold and silver, right? Like it was a very poor area. So had anyone had that, they might have been able to get off the X. They might have been able to get out of that area and get out of that country, right? This is historically, this is what's happened. And gold is very easy to hide. People have hidden it in their bodies. You know what I mean? The old prison pocket. People have done that during World War II. People have done that in other situations where they needed to hide it, right? People have said, so another big one is, well, what's the point of gold and silver? The government will just take it away. Okay. Ever hear of a boating accident? Yeah. I know a guy that lives in my city with bald hair and glasses that when it's time to confiscate the gold, he went around his city and gave it to all the homeless people. Oops. Good luck tracing that. You know, I'm a hiker, right? I know places where nobody goes. Interesting. Maybe I found some homeless person out there and I had them watch it for me, you know? So your gold and silver, people hid it during the confiscation. Most people didn't turn in their gold. That's the big thing, is most people didn't. So it's reasonable to expect that if they ever try that again, I think even more people would be smart enough to say, you know, no, you're not taking our gold. In fact, it's gone. I lost it in a boating accident. I gave it to homeless people. You know, I dropped it down a sewer. Sorry. You know, it's that sewer over there. Have fun. You can go in there and look around for it. You know, that's really not a concern. People just wouldn't turn in their gold and silver. Some would, I guess, but most people wouldn't. So that's just another silly myth. All right, let's scroll back here. I saw some comments here. Let's check in with chat again. If you have a question, try to throw it in caps so I don't miss it. Scrolling. Don't forget to vote in the poll at the top, please. Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to give somebody bad information or have people go home and try that or whatever, but it's one of those things your body can tolerate it. From what I understand, don't quote me on that. My channel's for information, for entertainment purposes only. But you know, they used to have that. What was that liquor that they used to make that had gold flakes in it? And I know sometimes it's used. My wife is a baker. She's talked about sometimes gold is used in like really expensive baking products like gold leaf and stuff like that. Okay, no problem there, Coffee First. Appreciate you. Okay, just checking to see if I missed any of your questions here. There'll always be commerce. Precious metals will always have value. I agree. And again, it really just depends in terms of if there was ever a bartering system. People say, well, why would there be a bartering system? It wouldn't be safe. It depends. Depends on the area, right? So Furfel talked about that when the Argentinian collapse happened, bartering areas were set up because people need stuff. They need to be able to trade. We humans have traded for thousands of years because it's really hard to produce everything that you need. Not impossible, but very, very hard. And the way that they were set up in Argentina, and I think Selco said something about this too in the collapse of the Soviet Union, was basically you had organized crime, and sometimes it was like off-duty police officers or whatever was left would set up these like flea market type areas, and they would provide security, and they got reimbursed for their protection, and it was a safe area where people could go and make trades. Is it guaranteed that will happen? No, it depends. It depends. And it wouldn't be right away. Like if we had a without rule of law tomorrow, like all of a sudden power went out, people just started going bananas, attacking each other, trying to steal from each other. No, you're not going to have bartering the next day. It would be like after things settle down, because humanity has, we have this craving for stability, right? So the devil will have his hour for sure. The devil will rule, and you'll have chaos, and you'll have people who are victimizing people, and you will have people who are trying to hurt people. But then, as what's always happened in collapse situations throughout humanity's history, is that some group, and they may not be great, they may not be a bunch of good people, but some group will say, people want order, let's give them order, and they will band together and they will take down the people who are trying to throw anarchy at it, and then some type of order comes back. Now, you may not like it. It may not be the kind of order that may not be even as good as what you had before. but that's generally what happens when civilization breaks down, and it doesn't happen right away. It happens after people get tired of being victimized and abused by these criminals. And then, maybe, we've talked about this channel before on this channel before that, like, what's barterable depends on the person, right? So like in some communities right now, Tide, bottles of Tide, the laundry detergent, is a barter item. We've talked about that before, like that's in some communities that is used to purchase other things. So let's just leave it at that. And that's in the United States, folks. Yep. There is some health benefits. There is some, you can make colloidal silver with it. There is also obviously some industrial value, and there's medical components that are made with it as well. Silver, and to date, they have not found any other metal or alloy that can do the same properties that silver and gold can do for those things. Maybe someday they do come up with that, in which case that will, if that ever happens, that will hurt the value of silver for sure. But they've not been able to do it yet. Okay, yep, gold leaf on meals, exactly. Yep. Goldschlager, thank you. That's what the Goldschlager was, the liquor that had gold flakes in it. And it's got like cinnamon, it tasted like cinnamon, I think, or hot cinnamon. Goldschlager. Where's Bacon? Bacon should be able to answer that question for us. Lee, thank you so much for Lee's been putting out channel links for people. So appreciate you, Lee, for doing that, helping out the community. You were always such an awesome help here. I don't know what that is, but I'll try to remember to check it out. I have seen fiction posted as fact going back a long time. Look up Mongolia Monster. I'll try to check that out. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We can own it for now. Yep. Yeah, who knows, in the future you may not be able to buy it. I don't know. And I didn't even know that. Michelle says that China is encouraging their people to stock up on gold and silver too. I didn't know. I don't know. I know they're stockpiling it. I know that for a fact. And that's been a big reason why gold has really been skyrocketing. What's the percentage on the survey? Let's check that in just a second. So, okay, there we go. So Lee says, Selko said that if you wanted oral antibiotics in Bosnia, you had to have gold. Yep. Yep. There you go, right there. Only 20, and that was the people who like willingly said, "Oh, okay, we have to turn it in." I don't think that would happen. I don't think they would get 25% now if they tried that. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of boating accidents if we ever get to that point. Tractor vaporized ours. I love that. We have a gang war in my city, so if they ever come looking for my gold, I'm going to say that I gave it to the people in the gangs. They can go get it from them. Okay, great question there. This is going to vary from person to person. I will answer my personal preference, and then I'll give you some different viewpoints on it. So my personal preference, I primarily, almost exclusively stack sovereign bullion coins that have a face value that are associated with a country, and I generally prefer the United States, Canada, Europe, so the Austrian Philharmonics. I do get some Chinese pandas every year, and Australia. I used to get Mexican Libertads every year, but the premiums on those have gotten so high that I really haven't leaned into those the last few years. South African Krugerrands are also very popular, but I stay primarily with those coins. Now, You're going to pay a little bit higher premium when you do sovereign bullion coins. But the reason I like those as a prepper is I can take those to their respective countries and it's immediately recognizable and I can immediately turn it into something else. Now, silver bars, gold bars, you're going to get more weight for your buck, right? So if you buy a 10-ounce silver bar, you're going to pay a lot less than if you bought 10 ounces of silver sovereign bullion coins, right? So you're going to get more bang for your buck. The reason I don't personally like those is it's harder to convince somebody that that 10-ounce silver bar is a 10-ounce silver bar. If I show them 10 silver eagles and they know anything about money, they should know what that is, okay? That's my personal preference. I'm not knocking people who go the bar route. I think there's a lot of merit for stacking by weight. So you got to kind of make your own decision there, which one makes sense for you. With gold, so I do stack fractional gold. Now, fractional gold means like less than an ounce. And the reason, and now you're going to pay a lot more in premiums for that as well. But again, the reason for that is 10th ounce gold coins. I could move that around and do different things with that rather than one ounce gold coin in a transaction, right? So one ounce gold coin right now is roughly equivalent to 2,400 US dollars, roughly. What if I don't want to give that much value away for, I need some 9mm ammo or something like that, right? So you got to have some fractional to be able to make those transactions, or maybe you're going to use some silver instead to make smaller transactions. That's just kind of some of the different strategies. Another thought about that is that each country has different laws on this, but smaller amounts of gold and silver transactions are not required to be reported by the dealer. Okay. Well, no, scratch that. I didn't say that. Smaller amounts of gold and silver transactions are not necessarily reported by the person, the customer. Okay. Check your laws. I am not telling you to do or break any laws or whatever, because things change all the time. When you watch this video, it may be different. It might be different in your state. Some states have different laws on this kind of stuff. But know what you can and can't do in an emergency situation and what the repercussions of that, because there could be tax repercussions. There could be stuff that gets reported to the government, things like that. So you need to know what your laws say and make the decisions that are best for your family. And above all else, we say on this channel, please don't break the law. Sarge is never telling you to break the law. I don't do that. That's a bad thing. So you know, use your own due diligence on this one, folks. Yeah, premiums are harsher on those fractional ones for sure. Legion has raffles that have soaps and other household stuff. Maple Leafs are solid. Yep, I always get some of those every year. Canadian Maple Leaf gold coins are beautiful too. Yep. All right, so let's do one more today. Let's talk about the digital currencies, and then I'm going to start to call this one a day. I hope I answered everybody's questions. If I missed a question, please throw it back up in caps. And again, if you're brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you got anything out of value out of this, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you are interested in silver and gold, please check my description down below for my affiliate link. I do get a small commission off that. Doesn't change the price for you. It's just one of the ways you can help support my channel. And most of that money goes back towards giveaways or producing content. Like I can go to other locations and produce new content for you, things like that. So thank you for helping to support the channel and get some nice gold and silver for yourself as well. All right, so digital currencies. So, well, let's talk about like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and things like that, which is a little bit different than the CBDCs. The cryptocurrencies, I'm not against them. I do dabble in those. I've mostly gotten out of it. On the last time that like all the cryptocurrencies pushed up, like Bitcoin was at like 73,000 per Bitcoin or whatever, I cashed out a lot of mine because to me, it's been so volatile. It's not that like maybe it's a good transaction for you and it's an okay investment for you. I was no longer feeling comfortable with it for me. And again, personal opinion here, I worry about the future for like cryptocurrencies. I think at some point there's going to be a concerted effort by the big governments. I'm talking about like UK. And I forgot to mention the British coins too. Those I like British coins as well. The UK, Europe, the United States. I think that the big capitalism countries will make a push to vilify, maybe not make it legal, because I think it's gonna be hard to make it illegal, because there'll always be a way that people can access it and use it, like in the black market and dark web and things like that, as long as the power's on. But vilify it and change public perspective about it, to that a lot of people will start to feel less confident in it. And if a lot of people start selling at the same time, I'm worried that that will cause a catastrophic drop in the price of the cryptocurrencies. Now, do I think this is going to happen tomorrow? No. When do I think that could happen? And again, this is just me speculating, just my personal opinion, is if the United States and Europe and Great Britain introduces a CBDC, they're going to want to push people towards that as the digital currency. And they're going to want, and they're probably going to be some propaganda telling people like, oh, you can't trust this. This is unsafe. This person lost millions in Bitcoin, and this person lost millions in Litecoin, and this person lost millions in Dogecoin. And they're just going to be like, you'll see all this like propaganda stuff just to destabilize it, and it'll work. 90% of the people out there, you guys know, are just going to believe whatever the pretty talking heads on TV say. You guys know this. And so that's what I'm worried about for the longevity of cryptocurrencies, right? I'm not even getting into like, could the power go out and then what happens? That's a whole nother ball game. But the answer to that is that if the power went out permanently, like we got big problems, and the loss of your cryptocurrency is just one of them. All right, let's check chat one more time. Then I'm going to send you guys off with the message of the day. And let's scroll back to the poll at the top here too. All right, scroll back to the top. What do we get? All right, so 86% of you said that gold and silver could be a useful prep. All right, cool. And again, I don't expect everybody to agree with me. And I don't think that it's the most important prep. And I don't think it should be your first prep. So I welcome pushback. And if you're watching this afterwards, throw it in comments. Let me know why you think gold and silver maybe isn't a good prep, or maybe why it's not a good prep for you. Okay. All right. Let's do... Sorry, guys. Message of the chat. I was going to check chat one more time. Hey, Orlando Preppers, good to see you. Rural's good to see you. Miguel, good to see you. Appreciate everybody. All right. Just seeing if I missed anything. The Buffaloes are cool too. I don't particularly go into those, and Morgans. I like the Morgans too. I like the old silver Morgans, the original silver Morgans. I have a nice little collection of those. I've seen. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I've seen different things, which there could be a lot of bad information that I've read on the internet as well. So I would just encourage people to check your local laws, do your research, and make the best decision for yourselves. Peter Schiff's a great resource to follow. I encourage everybody to check him out. Orlando, it's good to see you. Rural. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier there, Rural. That just happened like last night or the day before. We are in a very tense financial trade war with China. And it frightens me that the mainstream media is not trying to educate people about what's happening here. People are going to be blindsided. You're welcome, Kentucky. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. And so I saw your comment there, unknown knows. We all start somewhere, right? So I started in 2009. And what got me started on silver and gold was, and I didn't get into gold till later. I wish if I could go back in time, I would have started on my gold journey much earlier. That's a big regret for me. I leaned too heavy into silver, and some of the money that I put into silver could have been in gold. But we all start somewhere. I was big fan of Survival podcast. I still like Survival podcast. I just don't get to listen as much as I used to. And he was talking about it, and I thought the same thing as a lot of other people. Like, I don't get why that's a prep. It doesn't make sense to me. But he explained it much in the same way that I'm trying to explain it for people now. And so I started with like picking up a little bit at a time with the budget that I had, and I was making a lot less money than I am now. And my budget was really, really tight because I had just gone through a divorce at that time, and I did not make out well in the divorce. Financially, I was in the second worst shape that I'd ever been in my life, and was really struggling so much to the point that I was unplugging appliances because I couldn't afford electricity. So if I wasn't using a light, it got unplugged. That's how bad my financial situation was. But I would put $5 in an envelope and $5 in an envelope and $5 in an envelope. And then when I had $25, I would go to the coin store and I would buy one silver coin. Right. And that's how I did it. And then so over several months, next thing you know, I had a small collection, very small, and then a little bit more. And then as my financial situation started to improve and started to get back on my feet, I was able to put in a little bit more and start to come up with a better strategy for myself. But we all started somewhere. For me, and this is part of why the old Morgans are so special to me, so that's what I started with. I started with every time I had like $25, I would go and buy one silver Morgan. And that was what started my journey, 2009. Right. Did I miss anybody that came in? If I did, I apologize. Yeah, no worries, Rural. I appreciate it. That was a great comment. You did good then, Orlando. If you got in, I do have some that I bought when it was down around $14 an ounce. But I would say on average, the average price paid for me has probably been around 20, between 22 and 25. I was buying some when it was at $40 an ounce too, so that hurt a little bit. So my average is probably for me would probably be, most of my silver was bought somewhere between 22 and 24. So it's really, if you think about it, it's at like what, 29 or $30 now an ounce. It's still affordable. Still affordable, right? If you did that $5 a week method that I was talking about, you can still get, over the course of a year, you'd have a good handful of 1 ounce coins. Yep, I get it. And it's for unknown. I get it, and for it's not like necessarily the right prep for everybody at the right time too. So do what makes sense for your family. I 100% get that. All right, I think I got everybody's comments. Thank you so much. Again, if you got anything of value, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to check the links down below and check out my Apmex link. There's a big sale going on right now for and some of the things were at like near spot price. It is a phenomenal sale, and it's only good for like another 60 hours or so. Let's end with the message of the day. So I'm going to go a little bit off topic here. This week, Harrison Butker of Kansas City Chiefs made a commencement speech where he said some stuff that a lot of people, including myself, found to be pretty offensive. And you can go and watch that. You can go read it. But basically, I'm going to paraphrase here, but basically he was saying that women belong in the kitchen, being homesteaders, making babies. Well, if that's what you choose, that's fine. I mean, it's awesome. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and it is the most important job in the world. But it was a choice that she made, right? And want to emphasize here that at this channel, we don't support this concept of like that's the best that a woman could to climb to, because I think it should be based on what your goals are and what your choices are, right? So there are many women out there who don't want to get married, don't want to have kids, and they don't, and want to have their own, they want to pursue other things in life. Maybe they want to be the CEO of Ford. Maybe they want to be create their own business. Maybe they want all of it, and some people can do all of it, right? So I just want to say that if you're out there and that was offensive to you as well, then I see you, and I feel that as well, and I don't think that was okay. we're all entitled to our beliefs, and clearly those were his and his wife's beliefs. I mean, I assume that she's going along with this. Clearly that was important to them, and I have no problem with that if that's what they chose. But to use their beliefs in a way that it was stated as a matter of fact at a commencement speech, I found to be in poor taste. And for the record, we don't agree with that. So if you're a woman watching this right now, you can do whatever you want to do. And if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, you want to be a homesteader mom, that is awesome. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I had such a great childhood. I miss my mom so much. That is a great choice, but it has to be your choice. It has to be if you want that. And if you don't want that, if you want other things in your life, it's okay too. And you shouldn't be made to feel bad if you want other things in your life as well. Now, I don't speak for the entire audience. I don't, you know, I'm not stupid. I know there's people out there that don't agree with what I just said. I'm speaking only for myself and our household and in the channel that this LLC represents. Okay. All right. See if he was speaking to a very conservative crowd. But I'm just saying I disagree with his use of the platform in that way. My husband can tell me that anytime he wants. Okay. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call this one. I'm not going to read that one. Unknown knows. And I know you're joking. I can tell by the way you wrote that you're joking. You guys, I hope you have an awesome weekend. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to the mods. Appreciate everything you guys you do for the Lee. You did a bang up job tonight. Really appreciate you helping everybody out.